So hi guys, today I have a little video here with Fionnuala Gallagher. So I myself actually volunteered for Fionnuala previously in 2 exhibitions here at NUIG. We're actually in the art gallery right now where I volunteered. So today we're just going to be discussing a little bit about volunteering and Fionnuala's experience with volunteering and having recruited volunteers for her art gallery and of course the website as well, the AVOL website that we can use for getting your volunteering recognised. So Fionnuala, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're involved with and NUIG maybe outside of it as well?
I'm the arts officer here and I used to run the theatre space on campus, but now I'm more gallery, exhibitions and the art collection. So it's fun because I never ever know what an artist is going to bring in. Is it going to be big, small, heavy? How difficult is it, to put up? I'm kind of like the technician, the organizer, the programmer, etc. But I always need extra help. So this is where volunteering comes in. Victoria volunteered without me even looking for a volunteer. She contacted me, so that was fantastic, and she was fabulous. I love meeting people because my background is theatre, and in theatre, everybody is needed, from somebody helping make the costumes to somebody holding the black curtain to somebody welcoming the people. In my opinion, it's a wonderful way to learn how to deal with other people, and I always give my volunteers tons of responsibility, so they have to just learn on the job really quickly and learn to kind of speak out loud and just make a decision on their own. That like if I'm taking volunteers, I like to give them some responsibility and then they can get on with it. So me, I was always very curious, always, from a young girl, so I was always wondering what behind this door and what's over here and who's doing what where, and can I come and can I get involved and I can be outside. So I inadvertently volunteered without me knowing it all my life.
You didn't even realise?
No, I didn't even realise I was volunteering. So I've got to redo my CV now and say, hang on a minute, I was volunteering, I was helping out here, there and everywhere. So I see it as a very positive thing, yeah. And I know it can be a bit scary, to turn up somewhere strange and not have a clue what you're putting yourself into, or what you might be asked to do. And some people are terrified of being front of house, or even behind the scenes, or having to make a decision. And I do understand that, but there's no better way than being thrown in. So I was delighted Victoria came because we really needed someone. I didn't have time to find someone.
Yeah, it was a great experience though, so I'm really grateful for that. But so you've been volunteering yourself previously and had volunteers as well, so it's quite a mixed bag that you've been involved with.
Yeah, because I often gave drama classes or just helped out in everything from schools to other theatre shows to anything any of my friends were involved in. And my mother was big time involved with Vincent de Paul community things, you name it. So
Okay, wonderful. And do you feel like, so you had an experience both with volunteering and having worked with volunteers as part of your art gallery, for example. So would you say that there's a benefit both for the person that's recruiting volunteers, but also for the volunteers that are involved? Like, do they kind of learn from it as well, maybe gain some skills while providing you with, their time as well? Because it's obviously beneficial for you, being here and having people help you, but in terms of volunteering as well.
I guess one example, I did run an arts festival on campus in the spring, February, spring, that's kind of, not really spring, usually freezing cold. And GTI, which has an art portfolio course, is a different college to NUIG Galway. People would go there to do a 1-year portfolio course in art, drawing, making, in order to go off to art college. And they used to send me about 15 volunteers for the week. So that really made me focus. You know, I had to set out, you know, jobs for them. I had to sit down, kind of give an introduction to all of them, organize them, teach them how to be stage managers, teach them loads of skills, and find out also who was interested in what. If there was someone interested in photography, absolutely, there's the camera. You take loads of photographs. Somebody happy to go here, there, and everywhere, postering and messages, you know. So some people love sitting at a desk. I mean, I do not. But I mean, I'll do front of house because I don't mind, you know. But some people just love. Can I be at the desk? Can I be at the desk? Absolutely. If somebody really wants to do something, I'm all for saying yes. You be in charge of the desk. It's your desk. You arrange it like over there if you want, or over there. You decide. You make yourself at home. So it was really good for me. I had to think about the whole festival, what was needed, you know. And with the group, we could have a huge big timetable that was changing all day long. And I had a reception desk. If I had volunteers, I had a reception desk for the festival that they manned themselves. Always in pairs because it was more fun. You know, so someone could go off and get a coffee, can do this. I'm all for 2 people invigilating in a gallery, for people, their friends, calling in, socialising, sitting down, making themselves at home. I'm all for a volunteer and make yourselves at home.
That's so nice. Because you do kind of, I like the idea that you give kind of freedom to the students as well. You kind of do what they prefer and develop their skills and kind of, you know, competencies and that.
Yeah.
As well. So that's
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah. And then there would always be, in the 15, there'd always be one who was fantastic up a ladder and really technically minded. So, well, some people didn't know, you know, what their skills were, and which was fine. I just kind of, you know, threw them in a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And yeah, I think I learned a valuable lesson from somebody once. Kathy Murphy is her name, and she worked in a huge art centre in the States for something like 9 years. I mean, an enormous place, you know, that had giant musicals for thousands of people, like in Bord Gosh, and somewhere else they had, you know, a big cowboy, you know, extravaganza or something going on, and something else like massive. So she was in charge of volunteers in that place in Denver, Colorado, and she always said that the volunteers who learned that they hated the experience actually got the most out of it, because they knew that they were not going to fit into that kind of job. They just really didn't take to it. So, you know, like the people who are front of house, you know, I had some people trained as stage managers, but I would make them get up and give the fire announcement. And it might be a first time to do that, stand in front of a lot of people and to say the exit, you know, whatever, which seems really easy, but can be quite a scary thing to do. But if you get a chance to try things and you decide, no, it just didn't really enjoy it. I don't want to be working with, you know, public coming in and out, or, you know, trying to set up a whole venue or whatever. That's a very, very valuable lesson, that's something that you didn't really enjoy, and maybe your skills are more behind the scenes, or, you know, quieter skills, or indeed you might just like to work away on your own, you know, which some people do, or you might want to be the whole leader, you know, and you didn't enjoy taking orders for the week, or, you know, you learned,
Did you learn what you kind of prefer as well?
Kathy was adamant that in Denver, Colorado, where she ran the volunteer program, that she got them all to do a big feedback form after and write what they didn't like, and she said that she reckoned that was really the most important. They learned a lot about themselves. What did you not like? You know?
That's interesting.
I hated wearing the t-shirt or whatever. Do you know?
Ask people what they actually enjoy, but that's a nice way to look at it.
Yeah.
So you can learn from that as well.
Yeah.
Deciding what you don't like.
Yeah. So I think for TY students as well, that work experience is really good if you find out that you do not like working in a shop. You know, it's not for you. And some people love it. And some people love rearranging the shelves and figuring out, you know, from the stock arrival right till it goes out the door, you know, they're just there.
Their thing.
Yeah.
True.
So I kind of get a kick out of it, you know, that somebody's maybe a little uncomfortable, but think, okay, you know, maybe try this, you know, because That's fine. That's fine by me. In fact, I loved training stage managers because there are so few, and if anybody wants a job as a stage manager, they need them because everybody wants to be an actor nowadays. And and there's a shortage of stage managers, and it's a really important job. So
Yeah.
in another life, I might move on to training stage managers. That'd be fun. Yeah.
Great. So that's
So I learned that from having volunteers, that I kind of liked, teaching them. But most importantly, I gave them a sort of a base and a home, a desk and an area where they could, for all of them, like I made them a whole reception area so they could all leave their stuff there and come and go and sign themselves in and out among each other, and have a place to make their coffee and tea. I think having a base is really important for everybody.
Of course, certainly.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great experience, both for you and the volunteers. Very nice.
Yeah, with hard work, you'd have to get up early and be ready, because there'd be some who'd straggle in really late, but others are like, here I am, what do you want me to do? And you're like, hi, I'm not ready. Yeah, so, but it really good for a festival.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's great. It definitely, shows that it's beneficial for both parties that are involved, not just for the one individual who's kind of looking for volunteers. It's great for everyone. And considering that volunteers actually give their free time to do this and get involved in these different activities, whatever it may be, do you feel like volunteers kind of should get maybe formal recognition of what they've done? Do you think it could be beneficial for them? Moving on, maybe when they're looking for a job and they have proof that, okay, I've done this and I've learned something from it as well. What do you think about it?
Yes, I do. And I think, did you ask me for a reference, Victoria? You may have done.
Actually,
Victoria, clever girl. She asked me for a reference, and it's another thing I like writing references. I realised only after having been asked to them. I thought, that's interesting, and I thought, fair play to Victoria, and it made me think about it, and it made me think, yes, a volunteer has, gone out of their way, to make that time before and after to be ready for it, because it always takes more time than just those. It's not like you're in the room anyway and you're just stepping across to help somebody. I think it should be formally recognised and, given a reference that you've done that job, you've tackled something, and during that time when you're volunteering, you're obviously your antennae are going to be completely up, and you're going to take in a whole new surroundings, and you will learn much more than you even realise. And it's worth thinking about after what you did and incorporating it into your CV as well. Definitely, because a short time trying something completely new will be quite intense for you, and will open many doors for you, because if someone hadn't really bothered going into art galleries before, well then if you've made it your home for even for a day or two, then you're going to feel perfectly happy going into an art gallery anywhere in the world after that.
I actually completely agree with
Do
that.
you? Oh, I was only making that up.
It's real. I've been to so many activists, I realised I really enjoyed it. So that's something I learned about myself as well, when I actually took part in helping with art gallery, and then afterwards I was like, I actually like the environment. Relaxing, even if you're there just to look at the artwork. Yeah,
you can step in out of the rain in an art gallery anytime you like. Also, you just don't know ever, who you're going to meet anywhere, when you're volunteering.
You can make contacts, you can make friends.
Yeah.
That's very nice as well, meeting people.
Yeah.
Kind of practicing your communication skills as well. It's just a whole bunch of things you can get from volunteering, or even from specific areas like art galleries, or if you're involved with maybe fundraising in different kind of environments, you can learn different sort of things.
Yeah.
About yourself as well, like you said.
Yeah.
That's very nice as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and just observation. Even if your job is standing on the street and giving out leaflets, whatever, then you know that piece of street, and you just kind of. You just get to know your environment better. I mean, I trained as an actor, so years ago, and we were always told that, nothing is ever wasted. Not any job you ever do, whether it's ironing for a month or whatever, because it's going to give you a certain skill to cope with some situation later in life, it's like, okay, I've got this mountain of stuff to do. Well, how did I? It's all kind of your coping skills, yeah, as well, and then force you, you know, to say hello to people.
I'm sure it's good. It's a good experience.
Yeah.
Even if you're shy or nervous to try something new,
Yeah.
you still kind of get out of your comfort zone and so on.
Yeah.
So that's very good. Yeah. And so, you know, like it's nice not only to be involved in volunteering, actually getting something from it to include in your CV.
Yeah, I definitely, I agree. I was very happy to write that reference, and it made me think that, you know, even 2 days volunteering or 10 weeks, you know, 1 day a week.
Every little bit counts.
Yeah, each thing is a little block in itself and is sort of like having done a little course, but with the experience, you know, yeah, I would agree with Lorraine as well, Lorraine Tansey, and the
volunteer coordinator.
The volunteer coordinator, that definitely their credits could be available for the volunteering.
So you think maybe kind of being able to use volunteering to have that as part of your formal education or even to apply to courses would be useful?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like a recent thing. Like, do you feel like that existed back when you, because you did mention to me previously that you actually volunteered as well, but you don't think there was as much as a recognition process available?
No, there wasn't. Even though my, I think I was part of the baby boom in the 60s and 70s. There were so many of us. There's always millions of extras to help out. But I know my mother went to Trinity, and she did Soc and Pol. It wouldn't have been Soc and Pol, social science. I think a degree in social science there, but I don't know if she did it on her own bat, but you know, she's always talking about, oh, when I was reading to people in the blind home, you know, down on Adelaide Road or something, or when I was, visiting X number of people. So I think it must have been maybe part of their course or whatever, but she always seemed to be, you know, doing something else, and it seemed to be
in some courses. But that's compulsory.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of volunteering, but you have to do it.
Yeah, probably.
But
But I think just the way she was brought up, she just kept it on as part of her life. She was always sort of volunteering in some way or another. So it seemed normal enough to me. I know my son, who's 26, he would never dream of volunteering, and that's just because he's so much in his own world. And his dad is Spanish, from Madrid, and he would never dream of volunteering either. Like, it just wouldn't even occur to him, ever, unless it was kind of somebody, of course, if somebody just asked him on the spur of the moment, you know, if he could help with something and he wasn't doing anything, he probably would, but it would never ever occur to him. So I think that's quite interesting.
Encourage people to actually get involved.
Yeah, I think it is really good to bring it out as a thing. It's a thing. Volunteering, that it's an option. It's an option for you to go and even try something.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of work experience in another name, but also just to, you know, not be thinking about yourself for a little while and, you know, trying something else. So you're just using, you know, different parts of giving your brain a rest from thinking about yourself all the time. It's nice to have a rest from hearing a few jokes, you know, like pretend you're part of the extras in a film, you know, where all they do is sit around telling jokes all the time, telling stories. So it's nice to do that as well.
It's kind of different, you know, like when you're in education, like in college or something, you have to do something. Whereas here, you can do what you like, kind of, you know, even gain experience from it, but actually maybe enjoy it more, and kind of like as part of your hobbies.
I'm getting used to hanging around. That was the thing my son never did. He never hung around either. He was just they're quite intense individuals, think of my husband. Why don't you just go and hang around on the street or something, you know, because hanging around is pretty valuable too. So, you know, valuable thing to learn. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Get a certificate, hanging around certificate. Yeah.
Work experience on that. Yeah. So I just actually would like to ask you actually a more specific question
sure.
to do with, I did mention there's a website known as the Ave of All, and what they're doing is basically providing students with tools that involve documents that you can complete and get your volunteering recognised. So maybe you can use these to, for example, apply to a course as we mentioned previously, or include it as part of your credits. And so when you heard of that, like, what was your first reaction? Do you feel like that's a great idea, or do you feel like we're kind of going too far with the recognition process? Maybe it's kind of too much paperwork perhaps, or more of a beneficial thing? Like, what's your view on it?
I haven't seen the forms, but I think it's a good idea. I think most students nowadays are so used to forms anyway. So many forms now for you know, your provisional driving lessons, etc., etc., etc. You kind of fly through them. I have advised many people when they're doing up their CVs to say, you know, remember the time you volunteered, you know, with whatever, you know, write that down, you know, or, you know, whatever you did and that. So having a sort of formalized form to kind of put it in your brain.
Yeah, or even a recap of what you did.
Yeah, a recap is a good thing, and to include it in your CV, because, you know, even if you were helping out at a marathon or something, you know, it just shows that, you know, any big event that you can be, you know, trusted and responsible and understand a big project and a big, you know, something large. I think that's no problem.
Yeah.
That's no problem to anyone. Yeah.
With the
Any
forms
student.
as well.
Yeah.
They do kind of include, you kind of have to think back on what you did. So it's nice to kind of remind yourself what you learned. Because they required you to, for example, outline the learning objectives, what you hope to get from your volunteering, and then also the learning outcomes and so on. So you're like even listing out for yourself, oh hey, this is what I've learned, you know, it's helpful to think back on it. So even in the future when you're, let's say, writing out your CV, you can actually outline it easily because you've done it before, you've thought about it, and you know exactly what you've done previously.
Yeah.
So that would even help with that as well.
Yeah, I did encourage any volunteers who were with me for maybe 2 weeks or a week, you know, to list, you know, or to write something, even a line or two quite personal about, you know, what skills they kind of showed themselves to themselves, you know, that they just revealed. And what's nice in CVs now is that they're not quite so formal. You can have a resume and you can have, you know, your skills and just a couple of little lines, and it can be, you know, and things you're most proud of, you know, you can, and you can even put, you know, attributes like kind, you can find out you're kind, you know, or that you enjoyed helping people, or, you know, whatever. And all these things, anything that you find out that's, the more personal it is to you, the better. The more interesting you are.
Yeah, they do value when you're showing, oh, you're not just kind of applying for the money or for the job, but you're actually have an interest in what you're doing. You know? You're willing to work and to learn and just get involved with people, really.
Yeah, and documentation is good. Like when we're for art, I always try to get people to, you know, do a little drawing or take a photograph or not just of them somewhere, but I mightn't have said it to Victoria, I don't know, but you know, take a picture of your favourite, you know, your favourite thing, or you know, anything we'd have a lot of exhibitions if there was a festival on, you know, take a few pictures of your favourite exhibition, or...
I think I've taken too many last time.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, I know, less is sometimes more, but documentation, no problem, to students. And I think I wish my son volunteered because he's too much of a nerd. I hope he's not watching this.
Well, actually, a good mention about the pictures. That is actually quite useful, even if you photograph yourself as something you've been involved in, or a building that you kind of volunteered for, or the individuals you kind of we're working with, that's great as well, because even for this website that provides the tools,
Yes.
for the documentation, you can actually include like videos and images as well. So it's a nice mixed bag, you know, not like your usual CV or like some form of lectures like that. It's, you know, you can include writing, word images as well, any media really, so that's actually quite important as well. It's a good point, you can include that as well and make your documentation a little bit more interesting.
And also, anyone who's volunteering on something, sometimes, you know, there's training that goes with it just by chance. You know, there was sometimes workshops going on in the festival, somebody would be giving a drawing workshop or this, and I'd always say, you know, you can go in and take part, you know, in that if you want, you know, anyone, and if they did, they could. So there can be loads of perks without you realising it. You go somewhere and there happens to be training on and you just pick it up, just take all the training you can get, go for it. You don't have to if you don't want to either. As a volunteer you can say, no, I'm not really interested in that. So that's great. So the win-win.
Definitely. And I think more of a final question is pretty general. So, you know, it seems like with volunteering, the direction that it's going with is that they're trying to implement you know, recognition processes to actually reward volunteers and provide a proof that they've actually done these different things. So do you feel like it could change people's views on volunteering, maybe kind of take it more seriously, or perhaps want to get people more involved, or like what do you feel like it could have an effect on volunteering overall?
I guess you don't want to make it too difficult for the people providing the opportunities. That's, you know, a difficulty nowadays. You don't want to, you know, somebody staying late. Well, I mean, I used to write up on all my volunteers, but it was just one sheet. So I liked to, in fact, I found I couldn't write, if it was for a college or something, I couldn't write something about the person if they hadn't actually written something and get them to, first of all, we'd all have a meeting and they'd write something themselves, just even a line or two about what they liked, because it made it much easier for me to write then about them, because if some people are really quiet, you can't really tell if they enjoyed it or not. You know, so, you know, that, it's a tough one, because obviously, you know, it's very easy in some businesses and in some operations to just work on paperwork, and then other things, you know, if you're involved in sport, etc., there isn't as much time to be writing.
That's true.
Writing
so you think
everything
like
down in the theatre.
maybe if the writing up was not exactly like you'd be okay. Let's say if a volunteer came to you and they were like, oh, can I just maybe have like 15 minutes to talk to you, just to kind of see if the learning outcomes that I outlined for myself, if you agree with them, you know, to make sure that they're kind of going in the right direction. So maybe if it was kind of that general conversational sort of thing, rather than filling out a lot of documents, you say kind of.
I found just from having to do it, and for, you know, for sometimes about 15 to 20 volunteers, you know, some of them I wouldn't remember 2 weeks later if they dropped in a form to me, because you're going, hang on, was it one of those two girls who were always together, but which one? Do you know?
See, that is something to
consider.
But the nice thing about the website as well is that it's kind of up to the volunteer to kind of provide you that information first, and more what the volunteer coordinator has to do is look through it and be like, yeah, that's all right. Maybe be like, okay, well maybe there's something missing. So it's kind of up to the volunteer to take the initiative and be like, I want this, I'm going to do this for myself. So they're not turning all the work on, you know, the volunteer coordinator. So I think that's
because they might not remember, because, you know, they're just, so many people, and they remember obviously that you didn't do a terrible job. But if you just want that you're learning, your learning outcomes, it's, sorry.
No bother. Josh, go get that.
Where were we? We were saying something interesting.
I think we're just kind of discussing
probably had said
recognition thing.
So
far. Unless you have any other additional comments to add? In terms of recognition and volunteering.
How does the recognition, how does that work? You know, that is interesting. I mean, obviously, you know, to write a perform or write a reference for you. So was that enough for you for formal recognition, or would it be different?
Quite different. So the forms that are provided online, I actually have an example there that I can show you. So this is an example, actually, I have one here, a printout. So that's the basic kind of idea. So it's just a couple of pages. So this is the identification of the skills that you've learned. So that's one of the forms. It does seem like quite a couple of pages, but it's pretty simple because all you have to do is fill out, for example, there's a list of different competencies, and I don't think you can see that there. And you pick and choose which ones you've done. So maybe if you've learned communication, you can be like, yeah, sure, I chatted to a lot of people, talked to, I don't know, supervisors or visitors to the art gallery, mentioned that. There's kind of something for everyone. So for example, listening skills as well, computer skills maybe if you're involved in that. So you could just list that out. And then, so I would send this to the volunteer coordinator, so Learning Champion, for example, and tell her, so I've completed this form, can you just have a look through it? And, you know, see if she kind of agrees with what I've done there. And obviously she can get like in contact with you and be like, is this really what happened? So that's kind of the first part. And once you've done this, the volunteer is responsible for, as I mentioned, the documentation. So this involves, they call it a portfolio. So you can put like the images in there, different media, just to kind of show what you've done. But the most kind of important bit in getting the recognition is you have to contact a course coordinator. So, because they would look through that and, you know, consider how much maybe credits that would be worth, or if you want to apply to a course, contact the course coordinator there and be like, well, maybe this could kind of be part of, you know, if you have to have points or something, some marks or something, kind of be part of that. So that's generally the idea behind it. It's just filling in these different things kind of to be able to show what you've learned to the course coordinator. That's the general idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because it's all self-development, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's really the volunteer mostly responsible for it. Like, they do get the help of the coordinators, but, you know, it's not going to happen if you don't take the initiative to do I think that's, great, good stuff. So that's,
it looks nice too. It's kind of, you know, big print, yellow, red, and white, and abilities. It's about abilities.
And there's actually on the last page, if you have a look at there,
ability to tolerate others. Now there's one.
That's a very important one.
Yes,
and you can fill in additional skills and things as well.
To protect cultural heritage. Really interesting, and probably you can add whatever you want as well.
Exactly.
You know, so there's a bit of creativity in it.
Certainly, It's quite flexible as well. They have this bit at the back, it's just pretty empty. And you can fill in anything you feel you missed out. Maybe there's like these competencies that you feel haven't been listed out. So, actually another thing is you don't necessarily have to print it out. So they provide a link that you can go to and fill it online. So then you can send it directly to your volunteer coordinator or whoever. So it's not all, you know, printing, scanning, you can avoid that. That's nice. But of course, if you want to print it out, the options there as well. So it's quite flexible. In terms of how you want to do it.
That sounds fun. It sounds like it's bringing, you know, your CV into play too, like a living thing rather than just a list.
Exactly.
You know, so if it makes it more of a living thing, that's great, because it means you can change anytime you want and try anything you want.
Exactly.
Anytime you want.
So that's that. Right. Any questions to me or any comments in general, just to finish off?
No, it's a big it's a big step forward, isn't it? It's a big leap.
I feel that it is.
It's but I think it's worthwhile because other than in conversation, these things would never come up. You know,
that's true.
You know, so it's making it a real experience, which it is. It's not just something you've read about, you know, or an aspiration to, you know, to. I wouldn't mind getting involved in that or whatever. You know, it's a real thing. So a commitment has been made and an effort, and yeah, it should be rewarded and recognised.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'd like to
Give
thank
it
you
a
for your
thumbs
time.
up.
Definitely thumbs up. So
Yeah.
thanks guys for watching, and thanks for the information of me
You're
today.
welcome, and I will be looking for some volunteers in the art
Keep that in mind,
gallery.
guys. So if you want to come along and help around,
Great.
you're absolutely welcome.
Thank you.
Great.